Previously in X-Men. While global tensions rise around the mutant problem, the X-Men have decided to go to Dallas, knowingly heading toward certain danger, and perhaps even their deaths, all to aid Storm. I am Jason Lapidus.
I'm Chris Sanagan.
And we are a group of 7 comics. Welcome to episode 159 of our ongoing live stream read-through of the X-Men comics that became classic as we read Uncanny X-Men 225 by Chris Claremont, Marc Silvestri, Dan Green, cover date of January 1988. Chris, how are you?
I'm good. And now we're into 1988, which is pretty cool.
Yes and no, of course. The cover dates.
Yes and no, because 1988 was a trash year.
Yes and no, because the cover dates are simply that. They're just dates on the cover. This is coming out probably around September 1987.
Except in the folder structure on the DVD-ROM in which you have gifted me these, which we share with you all, it's the 1988 folder. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. And it is also the publication date in the issue.
Yes.
Like if you look at the indicia, the bottom of the page, it does say 88. But of course, it comes out like around September 1987. Yeah. So that if you were getting this off the newsstand, which I was, or your local comic store, you would have found it, in September, fall of 87. Fall of the Mutants 87. Yeah,
fall of, I was going to say.
A big deal. Fun to be at this point in time in some X-Men continuity. Just quick shouts. Hello, everyone. From Michael. Hope you enjoyed your St. Patrick's Day. Chris, did you enjoy St. Patrick's Day?
I mean, it was okay. I mean, they're a fair bit tamer these days than they used to be. Sure. But maybe I listened to some Pogues. Maybe I drank a can of Guinness. Maybe I talked to Banshee in the mirror. Who knows? A couple of things happened.
Fair enough. Well, I hope you had a good and safe St. Pat's Day.
Thanks.
And I didn't even know it was St. Patrick's Day in my travels yesterday. So it came up when I got home. Saw the Leafs were wearing green and white. I got excited. That's cool. Good thing.
That was cool.
Yeah. I love that they wear the green helmets with the white jersey.
They look great. That was actually, just to talk hockey for 1 minute on this pod, which we like to do. But last night was the tale of 2 excellent hockey sweaters. The green and white, the Leafs and St. Patrick's, the St. Pat's, which was the name before the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is beautiful green, beautiful white. And then they're playing the Calgary Flames, and that red and yellow. Both striking, very beautiful hockey sweaters.
I love the Flames jerseys.
Yeah.
To Jason Jose, he says, "Hey y'all, how you doing, Jason? Hope you're well." And hey everyone from Mass, hope you're well. And I hope you're well. That's about it. But I was thinking of Allie, who's here. Happy Tuesday, all you awesome nerds, she says. I was in a penguin preserve area, like a nature reserve, where there's like a whole bunch of penguins on the beach in near Cape Town, South Africa. I was there I'm just going to call it Sunday. I don't even know what day it was now that I'm trying to put it all together. And there was a dude there wearing a Flyers baseball hat and a Flyers t-shirt. And I there's lots of crowds of people going and taking photos of all these penguins. And I elbow my son, like, check out this guy. And I was wondering if he really was a Flyers fan, because you don't see a lot of hockey paraphernalia in Cape Town. And then I heard him speaking, and he was speaking another language. So I'm like, who knows if he loves the gear, if he is a transplant.
Someone gave it to him.
Right. Transplant to Philly, and he's traveling. Like,
yeah,
who knows? But I was going to engage him in conversation to smack talk his hockey club. But I backed off when it didn't sound like English was his first, because I didn't want to have any misunderstanding.
He didn't have a massive Gritty tattoo on his arm.
I didn't see.
Like, Gritty.
I didn't see it, so maybe it was on his back or on his front. Who knows?
Who knows?
But I was thinking of her. I was thinking of you, Allie, just when I saw a Flyers fan out in the wild. So she says there was a penguin sticker on the car next to me in the parking lot at the Wells Fargo Center this week. So crossover. Yeah, I mean, it's different kind of penguin, but totally a penguin. And yeah, ridiculous.
I thought that's where you're going with it, actually. You're like, I was at the Penguin Reserve and I saw a dude in a penguin sweater.
Oh,
they love penguins.
She says, speaking of their language, are you sure that it wasn't just a Philadelphia accent? Nice. No. That would have been hilarious if it's that drastic that I couldn't. I perceived it as something. So in South Africa, at a tourist attraction, firstly, there are so many people who speak a version of Dutch called Afrikaans that I can't even pick it up. But just to push this joke a little further on the way home, so we went from Cape Town to Amsterdam, and that was a pretty Dutch heavy flight, and flying KLM as well, and then from Amsterdam to Toronto, and everyone who was rude on the flight happens to be speaking Dutch, right? Which was a lot of fun, which were not many people, but the few sitting around us, they were so obnoxious. And it was just because the people that were there that were obnoxious, of course, that they were speaking Dutch. And so I got so much mileage with my family out of that Michael Caine line, Austin Powers 3.
Michael Caine.
I was thinking about you a lot too. And when I finally got home and I played that.
Carry another wine.
He says, there are two things I can't stand in this world: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch. And it's like, oh my god, it's a
great line.
It's so funny, so funny. So that was a lot of fun. But thinking of Allie with all that Philly fan. Who knows? What else? Hey, can I ask you about Toronto Comic Con? Was this past weekend?
It was.
And you were there for 3 days.
All 3 days.
Can you tell me anything about it? Because I didn't get to go.
It was a really it was a great show for a number of reasons. Busy, first big con of the year, certainly in the Toronto area. Toronto Comic Con is put on by the same folks who do Fan Expo Canada, which is also in August in Toronto. That's Canada's largest fan culture show. This one has a bit more focus on comic creators. The Fan Expo tends to have, Lego and Nintendo and some other big deal kind of corporations. But this one, a lot of comic creators, a lot of our friends, a lot of our peers. So spent the last few days catching up. It's great seeing everybody. Again, first big con of the season of 2025. Busy. The Friday is also Friday of the March break. So a lot of families, a lot of excellent cosplay as usual. A couple standouts, just to let everybody know. Saw a fantastic Zatanna. Zatanna also had a trick wand and was like it was levitating and was like moving it all around her head, and that was fantastic. And then I saw that these two other young men were from Beyond the Spider-Verse or Across, whatever the second one is.
Across.
It's Across. I guess Beyond is the third one that's coming, I guess. Miles Morales, okay, classic Miles, Air Jordans, the whole look, fantastic. And Evil Miles as Prowler, which happens at the end of that movie. And had the mask that like opened up mechanically, like it looked, and they were just beside each other but the same height. They had their hair, everything was the Miles versions, all the Air Jordans, all the colors. It was really, really, really cool. They're making lots of people happy just because, when people put the effort into the cosplay, it's quite the outcome. So that was really cool. Sold a bunch of books, which is great. Made a bunch of new connections. We sold out of one of our books, which is fantastic. We sold out of our Peregrine's Trade, which we had made for the Angoulême Comics Festival in January 2024. So that's nice for us as comic producers because, one, it's always nice to sell a book, and then two, we're not really revisiting that book because it's going to evolve into something else. So it's kind of nice to actually get it off the table in that way.
Yeah.
Which is great. It was a point in time. My kids came. So I had Penny, my 11-year-old, come on Friday and lasted about 4 hours. before their friend came and they took the train home. That was okay. That worked out well.
Yeah, it's a long day.
Was dressed as Nezuko from Demon Slayer. I don't know if any Demon Slayer fans, anime fans in the chat, but that's what Penny was dressed as. And then my son Harry came on a Saturday and spent the whole day, which is kind of cool because he's 14 now, and he was going up and down the creator aisles. We had brought in some chocolates from one of the kids' fundraisers at school, like a box. And I don't need to have these all in my house. I had a couple, and so he was just chocolate. He was in his element. Everyone was like chatting up with my son, and they had a great time. And yeah, so it was awesome. Honestly, missed you, but it was a great 3 days. Everything that could go well, it went well. So that was great.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But since you missed me,
yeah.
Up next. So now that Toronto Comic Con is done, you got Halton Hills on on April 12th. The Halton Hills Fan Fest. It's a local public library event. Those are always charming and nice to get into the community. But you and I get to go in May. We're going to be going to the Montreal Comic Arts Festival.
Yes, we will.
And that will be a grand weekend where you and I get to hang out and get into some comics mischief in the beautiful city of Montreal. So that'll be good. We'll get a chance. And then, of course, TCAF, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's a good time.
We need to do TCAF. I can't wait for that one. Obviously, another local show. Really helps us do those travel shows, too. And helps us put together good print runs of upcoming books. So I'm looking forward to TCAF. And Word on the Street later in the year. Who knows what else is coming up between TCAF and Word on the Street. Maybe there'll be a little something here or there. We don't know. Yeah.
And I'll say, too, that got to catch up with some of our creator friends who either have been on the show as guests or show up in the chat once in a while, including our good buddy David Cutler, who, when I saw him, said, "Aren't you supposed to be at the Mountain Man Music Festival right now?"
Man, he said that in person?
He said that in person. So there.
Did you film it?
There's your joke from the YouTube chat going live. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. How's he?
He's good. He's good. He's working on the announcement. He's working on a new Captain Canuck book with Ty Templeton, who did a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, Ty is probably
Batman animated.
The Batman animated book, which is I think was called Batman Adventures.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's really famous in Toronto and the Toronto area for basically being a comic book guru and teaching a whole generation of cartoonists how to improve their craft, including guys like Scott Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a beloved local figure, and whenever he's at a con, he gets lots of cartoonists going over to gush.
And I got to hang with friend of the pod, guest of the pod, Nigel Downer as well. Who's Nigel was only on the show a few weeks ago, and always great to hang in person.
That's cool. Did you get to see Dave Pretorius?
I did. Yeah.
Nice. Another guest of the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I had people coming up saying, when can I get on the show? And it's like, we'll pencil you in.
Sure, man.
Yeah.
They just got to pay, and they can come on anytime. Where it's an expensive show to get on.
Elite company. Elite.
Yes. Very elite company. What are you going to do? Let's see. What else did we need to get in here? We need to talk about this issue. It was your first time reading this one today, huh?
First time? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge fan of these comics where you get team fights. I've always loved team fights.
Of course.
Just getting into a little brouhaha.
Yeah.
Yeah. A Donnybrook.
Yeah, although this cover, I don't know.
Not doing it for you.
Gosh, no. For so many reasons.
Name 3.
Okay. Swimsuit attire Colossus.
Oh, that's a swimsuit.
Yeah. Dazzler doesn't look great and is doing the finger guns, which is the thing that she's currently doing now, which I don't know. I'm not a fan of, but whatever. The Blob's face is like smushed in like Renee Zellweger.
Is that something that happened to her face?
I don't know. She always had this crunchy face. She
definitely does when she smiles. Her eyes.
When she smiles, yeah. Great actress. She just gives crunchy face.
You just compared the Blob to Renee. Okay.
Face to the face. Anyway, it just seems it's a strange one. Why is Colossus not wearing clothes?
Yeah. I'm gonna just posit that there wasn't a costume design for him yet, and so he's wearing his
we're like tattered street clothes.
Yeah, I mean, put him in a pair of torn jeans, and that would have been enough.
Yeah,
I like the idea of like Colossus the Barbarian. I'm into that.
Right.
But this is Colossus the lotion pouring beach attendant.
Right. Yeah.
It's
cool boy.
A little too sensual, perhaps, for you. But
strange.
So be it.
Strange.
Yeah, we'll see. I like the cover. I'm also bumping up against the things that you dislike.
Yeah.
But I like it for the fact that it's like a bunch of action figures that someone's playing with.
Right.
And I am excited to read when there's going to be a schmoz, when there's going to be a bench clearing brawl of some kind. It gets me excited. So, Dan Alvin, Peter Speedo, no.
I also
Mass says it's a European thing. Like maybe it's a European thing. That's all fair.
I also thought that like Mystique's gun just looks like Luke Skywalker's gun. I don't know.
Which, by the way, would
or
be
Han Solo's.
Thing. Yeah, well, they do have the same blaster. Just putting that out there. For all you Star Wars people, yeah, they had the same blaster back in Empire Strikes Back, which is a blaster that I love. I can actually take a look at this now.
Yeah, it's a great blaster.
I wanna see if there's. It's not too far off, man. I mean, Silvestri's probably making it up as he goes, right? So that might be the case. Renee Zellweger face Blob. So I love Stonewall's back muscles. I think he looks
that looks cool. But I think
Wolverine's pose is a little weird. But
I think having two big, strong guys on one side kind of throws off the equilibrium. Like I think you're right. I think Stonewall looks great, but I almost think that should be like an avalanche or something, just to I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
If I was getting nitpicky, I also would have turned his head more to the left.
Yeah,
I would have given us a profile view of him. There's this thing in comics where it can actually still look good. I think I actually have the original art. There we go. It can still look like a character is making eye contact with another, even though you turn his head all the way to the side for whatever reason, but it reads way better not looking at the back of his head. So I wish Silvestri had turned him a tiny bit, just his head. The Dazzler pose is pretty funny. It's, he is known for, I guess, putting female characters on their tippy toes and sticking a hip out.
It's like Bridget Nielsen.
Oh, big time. Especially the proportion, right? She's tall and a tall and strongly built woman. So that does read as Brigitte Nielsen, especially with the sunglasses from
Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Beverly Hills Cop 2. Yeah. And then I don't know if she wears sunglasses in Rocky 4, but
I don't know.
I will admit I've only seen Rocky 4 the once.
Right.
For me, once wasn't enough.
One time is enough for Drago.
All right. Let's get into this if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. Happy to.
Get this thing in here. I got to remove this one. Cool. And then it will let me add that. Add to stage. Remove other media? What do you mean?
No, don't do that.
Why do I have to remove other media? That's bizarre.
It is bizarre.
Do
I need to share it again? Maybe?
I'm not sure. Right now, it's not letting me add your...
Oh, that's weird. It's there. It's showing up.
Yeah, it says before presenting a screen, remove other media.
I can close this one.
Well, hold on. Let me just do. I'll just do that. And there we go. It's fine. It worked.
Okay, cool.
Check out the Rocky versus Drago cut. What's that?
I don't know.
And Chuck says, yeah, like not just Dazzler doing that, but Rogue has the same body posture.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right. Neat. Fun M&M's ad, but here we have a neat intro to this one.
Yeah.
There's a director's cut of Rocky 4. Matt says I need to check it out.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Maybe. There's a channel that I love to watch about movies called Patrick H. Willems.
Okay.
And on Patrick's YouTube channel, he did he does deep dives into things that really, really interest him, and you have to be willing to kind of go along with his fun logic, which he acknowledges is often, fun logic, not meant to be scientific. But he did this one episode where it's to take a survey to figure out what is the most 80s movie, like the most 80s a movie can possibly be, and he had a series of criteria. For instance, there has to be a montage. There has to be certain themes that American 80s movies seem to focus on. Chuck says he loves Patrick Willems. Dan says that guy is erudite. Now, I don't know if erudite is meant to be an insult, but I don't think Patrick would take it that way one way or the other, if I had to guess his reaction. So he created this ranking system for what movie would be the most 80s. And Rocky 4 came out, I think, as number 1.
Okay.
There has to be
like a music.
There has to, like the idea of there being a soundtrack, a theme song, which I don't actually know if it is one of his things, but that was like the boom of that as a part of American cinema. Sure. The Cold War has to, the era of the Cold War has to be involved in some capacity. Like you should watch his stuff. He goes way, way, way in depth on a lot of things, and I find his show very entertaining. And he, tongue in cheek the whole way, but he does a good job with, the soundtrack needs to have at least 2 top 40 hits. So,
okay,
he goes hard. So anyway,
okay, maybe I should check it out. All right,
maybe I will watch it again. Maybe I will.
Patrick Willems. That's on YouTube.
Yeah, Patrick H. Willems.
Okay.
He does his episodes can go long, so he'll have one that is all about him convincing his parents that they need to start watching like the Fast and Furious franchise. And he just, anyway, I can't really describe what he does. It's video essays on cinema.
Wow.
And sometimes it's way more informative than others. Sometimes it's more entertaining. He did kind of a really great sampler on Indian cinema, on like Bollywood.
Oh, Bollywood, sure.
And breaking it sort of down into its composite parts and talking about like what are the films that are like the canon for outsiders to have a chance to watch and get to know what's going on.
Right.
Explain like the politic of it, who the movie stars are. It was he can be really, really, really awesome. Anyway, he has good taste, and some taste you might not agree with. But anyway.
Cool.
Stanley presents False Dawn. These are the Uncanny X-Men. They are Peter Rasputin's dearest friends, in many ways closer to him than even his own family. Wolverine, Longshot, Shadowcat, Storm, Rogue, Psylocke, Dazzler, Havoc. It's been months since he's seen most of them in the flesh. But so long as he has pencil and paper, they are never truly apart. And boy, does he ever draw a lot like Marc Silvestri.
Wow.
Chuck says, Jason, how was the splash page produced? It doesn't look inked at all. Well, except the background. Okay, so with this is going to be drawn and inked. And the drawings by, Silvestri and Dan Green. And the part that's looks like a drawing is basically photographed the same way that regular art would be, but instead of printing it in black ink, it's done in that color, which is like almost like the Wolverine brown. So there is a bit of blue in it, some red in it, a little bit of yellow to make that kind of brownish color. And it's just done without any black holding lines. So this is drawn exactly the same way, but on a separate piece of paper. And just instead of using the black plate to make the ink, they're using the color plates. So we would call that like a color hold in old comic talk. Same way that we would get like, red effects on someone's power set without an outline on it, or a sunset without an outline. It takes a little bit of time to do, but yeah, we see these. It's not an uncommon thing, but that's how you do it.
It's a cool splash.
Yeah, it looks good.
Really, when I open it, I'm like, oh, this is great.
Like I said, it would be done on a different piece of paper because you have to treat it differently. So you have to isolate those elements. So the original art for this splash page would be the coil at the top of the sketchbook and the border of the sketchbook and the black ink on either side. And then another piece of paper would be in black ink, all these images like that of the X-Men. And then it's just kind of like scanned separately, essentially. But they just use a photograph to do it instead. And then they would create the plates to do this just in color instead of black. Creative team, of course, is Chris Claremont writing, Marc Silvestri penciling, Dan Green inks. We've got Tom Warzakowski and Glynis Oliver working as usual, still Innocenti, and Tom DeFalco, editor-in-chief.
Change.
That is finally, we've got... Oh, no, he was editor-in-chief last time. How did we not notice this? On 224, he was editor-in-chief as well.
Okay.
So Jim Shooter is out. He is fired. But we didn't talk about it.
We did not talk about it.
I'm going to editorialize for only a moment. I think the Jim Shooter contribution, whether you like him or not as a person, whether you like his comics that he helped create or not, I think the Marvel work done under his tenure is the best Marvel since Jack Kirby? Question mark? I feel so.
It's a hot take. It's almost as hot as my Renee Zellweger take, but
it is. I think that if you look at the titles, although you could make the case that the best FF is the original FF and the best Spidey is the original Spidey, there's such groundbreaking work for so many of the main characters at Marvel during Shooter's tenure, right? The best X-Men comics come out during his time. The best Daredevil come out during his time. Yeah. The best Thor since Kirby, the best FF since Kirby, and maybe even the best Spidey for a long time, depending on your taste of when you fell in love with Spidey. But like Kraven's Last Hunt still is one of the perennial top sellers of Spider-Man graphic novels and trades. Comes out during his time. So there's so many top tier creators that get their best work out under Shooter's thumb, for better or for worse. So I love Jim Shooter era Marvel. All right, I shall continue.
Okay.
This is Edinburgh, proud and ancient capital of Scotland, whose tranquility last winter was shattered by a pitched battle between the X-Men's newest members, Psylocke, Dazzler, Havoc, and Longshot, and one of the team's oldest foes, the virtually unstoppable powerhouse, Juggernaut. To the surprise of all concerned, the X-Men won. Juggernaut was carted off to jail, and the city left again with the help of these unheralded, often outlaw mutant heroes to tidy up the mess. Seasons have passed, and now the summer sun warms the somber gray stone neighborhoods beneath the extinct volcano known as Arthur's Seat. Seat is another word for butt, by the way.
Oh.
Arthur's butt. While the flowering trees are brilliantly colored blossoms that fill the Prince's Street gardens, soften and hide any remaining scars. Boy, he is going on and on.
Oh,
Not far from downtown, a modest side street, Peter Rasputin basks in the sun and indulges in his favorite pastime, talking to strange children.
Talking to Scottish children.
What you doing?
Sketching.
Pictures? Are you used to drawer then?
An artist. I try, but I fear I'm not very good.
Do you want to be this kid?
Sure.
Hey, Gordy, lads, look. He's drawing a juggernaut.
Let's stage the battle.
I'll play Juggernaut.
Not fair, Geordie. You're always him.
Wham! He's flattened coppers.
Pow! He wrecks a car.
Nobody can stop him.
Smash! He topples a whole building. Zap! Dazzler gets the brute with her laser blast right between the eyes. Oh, you got me, sweetheart. Hurrah for the X-Men. The good guys win.
If only the adult world had as much faith in us as these youngsters.
You draw real good, mister. You're gonna draw comic books, maybe.
Perhaps anything is possible. Pardon my asking, but are you alright? You're not sick or nothing, are you, sir? Because you're awful pale and sweaty. I was ill, actually. I only recently was released from the hospital.
You talk funny. Are you American?
Didn't be daft, Jamie Diglish. He doesn't sound a bit like J.R.R. Ewing or Max Headroom. Ugh. What's the point of watching television if you didn't pay attention? Where are you from then, sir?
I live mostly in America, but I am Russian.
My dad's been to Russia.
Your dad's a communist.
Your dad voted for Thatcher. Bet he's a mutant too.
Wow.
No, it's a cute scene. I love that drawing of the kids playing up top. They're just This one reminds you, speaking of Kirby, of he is kind of famous for many things, including his kid gangs around, like the Lower East Side and whatnot.
Sure.
And this just reminds me of the kids playing in the street, and just rough and tumble, and they're so animated and kind of charming. I enjoy that a lot.
And Daredevil's got one, right? During this era, especially during the anti-writing period. But there's it's like 8-Ball. There's a few of them. They're all Lorna or somebody.
They had an appearance in X-Men, remember?
Yeah, like a Darla maybe. Yeah, they're always getting into trouble, but they're also helping Daredevil, and he helps them out too.
Yeah, it is a strange addition to comics to have when you're reading them from, if they're trying to get more realistic, the idea of having a kid gang running around. Yeah. It does make it kind of fun and nostalgic for those golden age comics when there are all these delinquent children around.
That's right.
Yeah, but he draws them really fun. I also like his face drawings. I think when he has a minute, the Charlie Brown shirt, little nod there.
Charlie Brown, yeah.
And I wonder if there was an effort to not color it yellow or to make it so obvious. But if you're gonna do that shirt, give him the yellow one. Come on.
And is that the best Superman face you've ever seen?
Yeah, I mean he can draw real handsome people.
Yeah.
So he's a good artist.
Right.
I didn't understand about the X-Men. Team used to be so boss.
Now they're all a bunch of girls.
They need more boy mutants.
This is one, a mainstay of the team, with a body of organic steel and strength to match. His name is Colossus.
Wow!
Unfortunately, he was severely injured in a battle with some evil mutants called the Marauders, of which one I killed quite.
I enjoyed it very much.
I enjoyed ripping, and then I went after the other one, but I ran out of time.
Crushing his bones.
Crush his bones.
Poor lad. I hope he gets better. He's neat. You ask me. Them X-Men is willies.
Says you.
Take that back, Lewis.
X-Factor are the real heroes. They're ordinary folks like us. They didn't have any fancy powers. But they fight supervillains just the same. According to them, muties like the X-Men are dangerous. Best to get rid of the inhuman lot before they take over the world.
You want the X-Men, Lewis? You're going to have to get rid of me first. Eat teeth, scunge.
Okay, let's spend 10 minutes talking about scunge. Is
don't
that
know.
a word you've heard before?
I've never heard that before.
I'm pretty sure that is the greatest, most expressive, non-Yiddish word I've ever heard. I know exactly what a scunge is without ever having to look it up or hear it. Just it sounds it's so perfectly expressed, much the way my darling Yiddish is. Did you just look up scunge?
No, I did not look up scunge.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay, let's also take a moment to appreciate the Tang.
Yeah, well, you got to, and the captain of Tang, Pele.
Yeah, when I think of Tang, I think of Pele.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's someone in my family, I'm not going to say who
was on Team Tang,
who dressed up as Pele for Halloween one year.
Oh, interesting. Really, how far did it go? I hope
I don't think very far at all. There was no makeup usage or
that's good.
But they said that they were Pele in the photograph, and I was like, "Do you know who Pele is?" They're like, "Yeah, soccer player." Like, "Have you ever seen Pele?" They're like, "No." All right. It was the 70s. Things were wild.
The 70s, a different time.
Pele. Yeah, Chuck says the Yancey Street Gang. Yeah, that's one of. I mean, that's of course where the Thing. The FF has the Yancey Street Gang. Kids shading old Margie. It's fun. Are the writers trolling the readers by that too many girls comment? I bet you there's a little bit of that talk, or maybe just the fear that there are too many new female characters in the X-Men. I think it's a fair bit of feedback from some kids in an alleyway. That's all good. Breakfast beverage crystals, Chuck says. That's oh my God. Tang never misses leg days, Dan adds. That's for sure. Pele is super buff in that. And I wonder who got the contract to do this ad. Like, was it Neil Adams' studio? So it's one of those kind of guys who is just, did this as a paycheck. There you go.
Stop.
Eat teeth, scunge. That's where we were, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Stop fighting.
Lewis started it.
Listen to me, all of you. Mutants are not inhuman monsters. They are people who are born with extraordinary abilities. That's all. Some are good, others become criminals. But they, like you, deserve to be judged as individuals, not wholeheartedly condemned as a race, simply because they exist. That is not fair. It is not right.
People didn't wreck Edinburgh last winter. Muties did. You've not heard the end of this.
Does it say man? Mine's like...
I think Anne.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And you'll be sorry you ever stuck up for him.
Pele.
Oh, Pele. Win some, lose others. I wonder which this was.
Now, do you think I'm going to go with her not being Scottish.
Yes, okay. Because the way it plays out? Yeah, go for
it. Sure. And I know who she is, and I don't know what accent to do, but we'll just go with it. What matters is you tried.
I suppose. I always try.
I know.
I am Peter Nikolaevich Rasputin.
And I would like to commission a sketch of me.
My pleasure.
I know that too. In return, I'll read your palm. Let's see. There's much more to you than meets the eye. There's much more, my friend, than meets the eye. I read that wrong twice. There's much more to you, my friend, than meets the eye. A strength to your soul that complements the strength of your body.
Pain of heart and spirit to match the wounds of the flesh. Love's lost, honor found, a reverence for life tempered twice by the necessity of taking a life.
Who are you? How does she know these things? What is going on here?
A girl, a summer evening, a sketch, a conversation between friends. Courage tested in the past, but never more so than it's about to be. A choice, after which nothing will be the same. And on which the fate of everything depends.
Enough. I'm tired of your games. I want answers. Push more. She's vanished. And where she sat is statuette, some sort of chess piece. Of me? As Colossus? But how could she possibly know my true identity or so much about my life? Was she a mutant too? It was me! The face I drew, it is not her face, and yet somehow it is. What does this mean? What is happening to me?
Yeah, man, that's pretty wild. One note about the little wall they're sitting on there. I was reading the graffiti.
And what does it say?
Just some stuff. But the one that stands out was Hopi and Maggot. And I don't know if that was supposed to be Hopi and Maggie,
Okay.
which are two characters from Love and Rockets.
Oh, okay.
But I wonder, and I looked at in like the other version, I have my essentials here, and it was inked. So it was inked Hopi and Maggot, which is really weird. And I don't know if Maggot is a nickname for Maggie because I have not read a lot of Love and Rockets yet.
Right.
But, moving on.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, right?
Somebody. Marc Silvestri knows.
That's true.
The big loaf still there.
Hey, Louis.
Oh, shit, you're supposed to be Lewis.
That's it.
Well, no, I don't remember. This'll teach you to mess with us.
Gonna make a big bang, Louis.
The best.
Ugh! Yeah, the firecracker explosion startled me. Cannot maintain my concentration. I am reverting to my armored form.
I love that drawing, by the way, of him kind of exploding into metal.
It looks good.
Louis, do you see?
I knew there was something rotten about him. We warned you, you twits. He's a mutie. Run for your lives.
Don't. Please, there is no need. You thought Colossus was neat, Jimmy.
That was a picture.
Is the reality so fearsome? I am not a monster. How small and hollow and useless my words sound when a single look into the boy's eyes is all I need to see that the monster is precisely what he thinks I am.
His Colossus details are significantly superior to John Romita Jr.
For sure.
You can kind of feel every groove, like the rings around his fingers and thumbs, or his thumb. All of his metal work. Like, I think about the guys who could really draw reflective metal well, and other than like Arthur Adams and Michael Golden, who do it on another level altogether. Silvestri, for like the monthly comic book pace, is one of those first kind of guys that seems to elevate a lot of the details, and he can be fast and sketchy sometimes, but when he wants to do some heavy lifting, he's really top notch. Chuck says, fascinating that he is reverting to his armored form. Is that his natural form? Let's keep reading and find out. See if he addresses that at some point. An impossible place, space that encompasses all existence, time that embraces all eternity. From here you can truly see forever. Like all homes, this one reflects the character of the dweller. There's warmth and comfort, a celebration and reverence for life that's matched only by an insatiable curiosity about its seemingly infinite diversity. Suddenly, though, without warning, peace ends. Tranquility is savaged, ravaged, torn asunder, cast helter-skelter to the uncaring winds of fate. In the twinkling of a star, order shatters into primal chaos. And from the heart of that maelstrom, into this heart of creation, comes its master. On earth, this form he wears was known as Naze, shaman and medicine chief of the Cheyenne. That old man was his lifelong foe and has paid the ultimate price for that transgression. Now the universe will follow suit. What the heck is going on? I'm not sure.
The heck?
Let us find out.
Exactly.
So since you read Naze,
yeah,
would you like to continue as this character?
Sure.
Okay.
Pleased to see me, my lady Roma. Surprised, shocked perhaps at how easily and completely I breached your defenses and made your home my own. Chaos, is that still him, right? Chaos suits you, Star Child. You should indulge in it more often.
I may be your captive, evil one, but to my last awareness, I defy you.
Of course. I expect, I require, no less.
Are you mad? How dare you violate the fundamental rules in which reality is based?
Silly baby. What else you think my purpose is but to test those sacred rules, to try my hardest to break them to bits? I am the trickster, your primal opposite, your eternal adversary. For me, the game is all. And this match, I play for the ultimate stakes.
Without a thought to the consequences?
Nope. You thought these two, the X-Man Storm and her sweetheart Forge, would stand as your champions? But I've removed them from the board. And if you've the slightest hope of Storm's fellow X-Men taking her place, banish it. Order has had its day, Roma. This epoch belongs to chaos.
The game is far from over, Trickster. There are moves and players you haven't even begun to suspect. The final jest may yet be on you. Let us pause for a moment to discuss Roma. Have you come across Roma yet in X-Men comics?
Not that I'm aware of.
So, just to give you a tiny bit of background, she is known to some longtime readers of Chris Claremont as she is from the Captain Britain mythology.
Okay.
And remember, Claremont starts writing Captain Britain in the end of the 70s and, has that connection to characters like Betsy Braddock and the other supporting cast. And when he incorporates them into kind of the North American version of Marvel Comics, not just the British kind of offshoot, he brings all the continuity with him into his X-Men portfolio. So Roma is, in mythology terms, outside of comics, is the personification of the Roman Empire, the city-state of Rome. And so she would be represented on art and on currency and things like that as having a lot of the same attributes as Athena, Minerva.
Sure.
But she's usually portrayed outside of the city of Rome as a way to perpetuate the values of the Roman Empire to not the border areas, but the further territories away from the city of Rome. So it's to constantly remind everybody that they're they're Roman because they're not actually in Rome. So like the further away you are, the less you kind of feel the heat from that star. So she is like a symbol of many of the attributes that the Roman Empire wanted to represent in its territories. And then later on, she has less and less of a less common representation, and even gets, like, of course, demonized as Christianity takes over the dominant cultural production of things in those ages. But anyway, this version of Roma is not supposed to just be this like Roman propaganda thing. She is named Roma. She's the daughter of Merlin, and she is immortal, and is the one who, along with Merlin, like grants Brian Braddock some of his abilities, and it's kind of like the spirit that watches over him. Now, I'm personally, like, I'm surprised that they didn't just go with a brand, or Chris Claremont or whoever. Actually, I don't think Chris Claremont created her, but he brings her here. I'm surprised that, like, when she's created, because there is a female embodiment of Britain named Britannia. And if you're going to have Merlin, I'm not sure why you kind of go backward and go with Roma as his daughter. I mean, you also don't need to course correct, but I feel like maybe coming up with something original would have maybe suited the character.
I mean, maybe because Britannia is really like much more of like an industrial age Victorian 19th century, and Merlin is meant to really evoke that 1,500 years before, right?
Yeah, but it's nothing like Britain about. I know that the Roman Empire expanded, into Britain, but man, it just doesn't feel like. I don't know. I maybe they're not thinking.
Well, the other one, which is kind of like a, certainly is a female embodiment of what, like, the nation state of England at the time, Gloriana, which is like a response to the Queen, Queen Elizabeth, right? So interesting. There's a few, right? There's a few there that are.
I like the idea of having like British mythology as part of this.
Sure.
And then now like zooming out and having. Because there are overlapping gods and concepts personified in all sorts of mythologies from around the world. And so having a trickster, a chaos bringer, Loki, for instance, having this character, this adversary, the trickster, as part of the cosmic pantheon, I'm into that. Having something North American mixed with something European, I'm into that too. Like, maybe they take many forms. They're known by many names.
Right.
So I find that interesting. I don't know how well this is going to work. I don't know if other people are ever influenced by this. If it takes hold in any kind of way, but I'm definitely game for it. I found now just on an art thing. I found this really hard to interpret as a kid. I didn't understand. Now I see I think it's miscolored. I think she's supposed to be like affixed to the wall, kind of. And so that she's color behind her head. I think it's supposed to be like she's stuck into the wall, but having one end of it purple and one end of it light blue, and having no clear boundary to her dark blue hair makes it hard to interpret as a reader, especially when you're young and don't know what the hell's going on. But anyway, putting that out there.
Yeah.
Neat.
Totally neat.
But that's who Roma is. Daughter of Merlin.
Okay.
And I think we can kind of understand that she's maybe the order and he is the chaos, which does tie into the Roman Empire thing, because there's that, like, the empire will bring order, right? That structure that it has. So if you're looking for a loose but understandable connection, there is that. But anyway, there you go. Roma is now a captive of chaos himself, personified as the trickster. Scotland, in the Highlands just north of Edinburgh. I love that poster. And I wonder why they posed for it and who took that photograph. It was a small, derelict pub that just happened to be in the Juggernaut's way.
Anyone else would simply have gone around. But that's not Kane Marco's style. He caused this destruction. Yet it is the X-Men who are blamed, even though the team risked their lives to stop him. It is not right. It is not fair.
How?
After all the good we have done, after all we have sacrificed, all we have suffered, why do people still hate us? Why are we so fearsome?
How good is that face on Colossus? My gosh.
Totally. You really, it just feels metal too, right? Like
yeah, and the colorist has taken swings as well by having those dark blues. It's one thing to have those light blues in there, but to throw those dark blues, you don't usually see that. It really looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I got to mention, my gosh, this may be the chance you've been waiting for, the official Marvel tryout book.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have we ever talked about this, Chris?
Possibly, but are you going to try out?
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Oh, my poor aching back. The official Marvel tryout book. If you have not seen this before.
No. So you are going to try out.
That's a real book. 11 by 17. I got this as a kid. My goodness. This was probably my first way of understanding representations of process. More in depth than like how to draw comics the Marvel way. And I was so excited to work on this, but I found it terrifying.
Sure.
It felt real. The pages, it's like real artboard. There are real John Romita Jr. pencils waiting to be inked.
Wow.
And there are pages to be lettered, everything. It is, I should do a deep dive into that. I've talked about it before, that I've always wanted to, not always, but since I've had the tech and some of the ability, I've wanted to scan it and print it out and do it, actually finally do it. But I still feel the same as I did 40 years ago, which is
intimidated.
Not good enough. Yeah, intimidated by it. And it's hilarious that I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels that way. That like I don't even want to touch the paper because I'm not worthy. But that's just the thing that happens. TH Pass says the tryout book with full-size panel boards, old school. Yeah, man, I bought that like from the comic store as a kid, really hoping that one day I would do the thing, and I'm still too scared to do it, which is ridiculous. Right? Like I've drawn like 13 comics or something like that.
Something
but still,
like that.
Yeah, can't do it.
Nope.
All right.
Nope. Might as well not try.
Yep, you got it.
Perhaps my deeds are a sufficient answer. Often we would joke amongst ourselves about how easy it is to see where the X-Men had been. But I suspect for those whose lives are devastated in the process, no matter how noble necessary the cause, it is not so funny. I cannot return home to Mural as I am. I must change back to human form. Though nothing is happening. I must summon all my concentration, strength of will, make a supreme effort. I cannot. I can no longer deny what has happened. Somehow, as I recovered from my wounds, armor became my body's natural state. I can only transform to flesh with the greatest difficulty. This could be awkward, as I must cross Scotland to reach Mural. I wonder, though, if that haven is where my steps should lead. Life was so simple when I first joined the X-Men. Our mutant powers became special, and that in turn gave us a responsibility to protect humanity from those who would do it harm, to help build a world where all the Earth's children would live together in peace and harmony. When did that dream become a nightmare? The good we did rarely seemed to matter.
All people cared about were the threat mutants were supposed to represent. Other groups of superheroes looked on us with distrust. Why bother anymore? Let others bear their burden. The X-Men have blood enough. The world cares nothing for us. We should return the compliment and accept finally that the dream is done. But if I say that, how then do I live with myself? I am more than Pyotr Nikolaevich Rasputin, and Colossus's place is not where he is safe, but with the X-Men. Only that way, I think, can I erase the terror. I saw today on young Jamie's face that the world is not made better for us. It must be for him. Too big to fit, but at least I can reach the dial. Ah! Perfect. A magnificent start for my better world. I seem to be far stronger now than before. I smash everything I touch. Until my reflexes adjust, I must be ultra careful. The slightest mistake could maim someone or kill. Miracles, miracles. My fumbling repairs. I've managed to make a connection. Operator, should like to telephone America, please. Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. Is Ilyana Rasputin there? This is her brother.
Peter!
But the White Wolf. Hello, little snowflake.
You're all better. That's great. I'm so happy to see you. I've missed you so. This is wonderful. Only it's awful too. What rotten timing. Because my team, the New Mutants, we've got this incredibly important mission, and I have to be there because I'm the team's teleporter, which means I can't stay long. I hope you don't mind. I feel like such an utter rot-gut creep. What's so funny?
I was wondering when you would pause for breath. So I might try to get the world in edgewise.
I guess sometimes I do turn into a blabbermouth. Sorry.
I do not mind truly, but I need a favor.
Name it.
Can you find the X-Men?
No problem. I'll locate them the same way I did you, by stepping over my arcane realm of limbo and magicking a scrying pool that'll show us where they are.
Then can you teleport me to them? This is as important to me in its way as your mission.
I'll have you there before you know it.
Spasiba.
Hey, what are sisters for?
I'm just looking at some comments here. Yeah, Michael says he likes how shiny Colossus is in this issue. Big time. It looks really, really good.
Totally.
Jason Jose says, tried to draw a comic, but my stick figures sucked. Well, if you drew one and you got it done, that's something. First, you got to do it and learn how to get it done. Then you can learn how to get it done good later. But it's worth doing, even if it's not going to be that great. Patrick Sargent says, I've been an indie comic designer since 1999. Man, dude, you must be old. Come on, who was even alive in 1999? Definitely not me and you.
No.
Yeah, man, 1999, that seems like forever ago. Dan Alvin says, the elevated introspective existential crisis that Claremont is famous for, nicely epitomized here. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I'm really happy to see Colossus again.
Totally.
I feel like he's just not the heart, but part of the heart of the X-Men for me as a reader. And when he's not there, I feel like the book is lesser for it. So I'm really happy he's back in some way.
Totally.
Now, if only he would take off that shirt and pants and
Get to the goods.
Show me the goods.
Show the goods.
Dallas. Star City of the Sun Belt. And dominating the downtown skyline, symbolizing these hard times as it so recently did the boom that came before Eagle Plaza. Remember, Chris?
Yes.
Eagle Plaza's in Dallas.
Eagle Plaza. Never forget.
Do you remember Eagle Plaza?
Is that where Forge was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about this a couple weeks back when we heard the I guess it was like a prophecy from Destiny about them.
That's right.
Like, don't go to Dallas. They're gonna all die in Dallas or something. And you didn't have a recollection at the time as to what was in Dallas.
Right. What is
But
in Dallas?
Forge's building is there, so it seems to be coming back as part of a central narrative in X-Men comics.
Cool. Whole building's derelict. Ain't nobody.
Hold on, you got to
Nope.
pronounce that word right, as if this is Zoolander.
Oh, derelict. Whole building's derelict. Ain't nobody worked or lived here for a while. Kind of spooky, like some old ruin or a Georgia plantation left to rot after the Civil War. Wonder if it's haunted. Oh, Nintendo.
Okay, don't go. How many of these games did you play?
On this is Nintendo for Konami. Oh, geez. Double Dribble. Basketball game in the middle there.
Yep.
Castlevania.
Yep.
Goonies 2 always threw me because I love the Goonies, this movie, and I always wondered why there was this Goonies 2 thing. Maybe Track and Field?
Track and Field for sure.
Definitely did not play Russian Attack, Top Gun, or the space one.
It looks like it's called Gradius.
Gradius, yeah.
Yeah, and Stinger I didn't play.
Yeah, Stinger didn't play. Yeah.
But Castlevania and Track and Field, I got a ton of mileage out of. And
Yeah.
Double Dribble.
Double Dribble, yeah.
Exit boys, hello, says David Cutler.
Hey, Dave. Nice to see you again. Most likely it is. And given the X-Men's luck, about the meanest ghost you ever saw. Forge's penthouse looks the worst. About the same as it did after we saved his butt from the dire wraiths. That's a deep cut going back.
Yeah, X-Men 187 and 188.
If it was snowing in some of them too, if I recall, wonder if there's a connection. Nobody home, X-Men, far as I can see. Skyscraper's totally abandoned.
Is that good or bad?
$64 question, Miss Pryor. Seems a waste to go in the front door. Wolverine, when the roof's wide open, how about I fly everybody up top?
Nobody goes inside till I give the word. We're here to find Storm. That means following her trail every step of the way.
I like when he uses his claw to like pick a lock,
Yeah.
as if it's gonna
Right, we're gonna work.
it's gonna he can cut through the lock. Like he doesn't have to pick it.
Exactly.
It's kind of a funny approach, but I'll go with it.
Since weeks old, but still solid. Forge designed weaponry for the feds. It was one of his gizmos that neutralized Storm's powers. That's why she came here, to see if the process could be reversed. Forge liked his privacy. He's more solitary man, inside and out, than me. He crammed this place full of state-of-the-art defenses. If any of them are still active, I'm the X-Man best likely to survive. Lasers! Pew, pew, pew!
Pew, 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 pew. Wolvie's down. He's been shot.
He still lives. I can sense his thoughts, but he is badly hurt. Do you think that's Dazzler or
Dazzler,
Longshot? Yeah.
That's Dazzler. If the building defenses are working, how can we... Longshot, where are you going?
To rescue the boss.
That's crazy. The lasers will cut you to pieces. Same as him.
Dazzler, I have to try. He's the newest member of the team, and while he's a mutant, it's of a species far removed from Earth. He's agile beyond belief, and when he acts from pure motives, his power makes him the luckiest being alive. In this case, it enables him to stay a desperate, dashing step ahead of the laser barrage.
He can't evade him forever. Gotta use my own laser power to KO the projectors.
Can you walk, Wolverine?
Lasers chop me up pretty good. My healing power will repair the damage. But until it does, I can't even flamin' move. I'll carry you then. I'm 3 times your weight. Your hollow bones crack under the strain. Bet they won't. Ow!
Everybody down. Kid's luck's running out so fast, no time to be subtle.
That's an awesome drawing, by the way. To me,
Havoc?
like, yeah, that energy.
Yeah.
It feels like they're the concentric circles or whatever you want to call that. Like, it does feel boom tube. Like,
Yeah.
they are kind of coming out. I find that a much more effective version of him than other times. I dig that one a lot. Light brighter than the sun flares from Havoc's fingertips. Raw energy plasma that cuts across the ceiling like a scythe. Aces move, boy. You clobbered the lasers. But the shockwave's gonna drop. A few tons of concrete on our heads.
Not if I can help it, sugar. Havoc's impetuous boss, but he ain't stupid. This was a team play. Just like you've been teaching us.
I stand corrected. Rogue, someone's in our way.
Huh? Oh!
That isn't very nice knocking people down. That ain't a very nice fella, Longshot. Name's Stonewall.
Oh. Of course, Wolvie knows about him.
Yeah, they met a few issues back in upstate New York, I believe.
That's right. This is
Renee Zellweger.
it's the weirdest panel. Yeah.
It's so good. He is so fat and awful.
It's gross. No, it works. But it's so grotesque, I suppose that's the point.
Yeah, it is like highly caricaturized.
Yeah.
And I'm all in for this. Different strokes for different folks. But anyway. And he ain't here all by his lonesome, ex-chumps. You in big trouble now.
Plaza, sleeping toward us like a wave.
Avalanche is doing.
Gold star for you, sweet cakes.
And riding the crest, Blob.
Another for you, Havoc, for remembering my name. Watch closely, you bums. You'll learn something. Toss me high, Avalanche. And we'll see if Shorty, Psycho, Bones really are unbreakable. Geronimo!
This is my favorite part of this comic.
What, when Renee Zellweger lands on Wolverine?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the drawing of him in the H
Yeah.
is so good. Like the movement on that, that guy's coming down.
Oh, yeah. It's
And-
just by the second O is his butt. That's pretty great.
Yeah. It reads beautifully. David says, I love it. Looks like somebody inflated a Rob Liefeld face. There is definitely something to that. I think also, his Rob style is still like coming from of how he interprets back then, how he interprets guys like Silvestri.
Yep.
Yeah. But I do I do love it. David, I just got to say, you missed I'm assuming you missed the beginning where Chris commented that the drawing of Blob's face reminded him in some way of Renee Zellweger in its smushiness. And I'm not at all. I'm making fun of Chris when I called that a Renee Zellweger face. I'm not making fun of Renee Zellweger.
No, we got nothing against Renee.
No, definitely not. We don't know her.
Friend of the pod, Renee. Well, now not anymore. Maybe we'll see. Oh, Wolvie, who the heck are these lamoids?
The woman with 6 arms, something about her seems awfully familiar. Note, audience, and you, Chris, my friend, Longshot does not remember his own adventures in Mojo World before.
Right.
He doesn't know that the movie that they saw in the last issue featured him. He doesn't know that, he is a movie star from Mojo World and all that stuff, and he doesn't remember his history with Spiral, whatever that might be, outside of those things. It's a mojo-nated countenance. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what that means, but yes. So just note that his memory is somehow affected.
Gotcha.
Now, can you remind me, am I reading Spiral or are you?
I think I did Spiral in the past, and
Okay,
I didn't
go for it.
too though. But if you want to do Spiral, because I'm doing
No. I got Blob. He talks a lot.
Okay. Curse his luck. He sees, he suspects. Before he learns the truth, Spiral will steal his dying breath.
Don't fret, X-Men. Little fella ain't croaked. I can feel him wriggling up my rectum.
Oh,
He's scratching my sphincter.
This is like one of the worst things for Wolverine. It's great.
No, Wolverine is like totally fascinated by this new experience.
I bet he is. He's rethinking a lot in his life.
Yeah. I'm brought quickly to the acceptance speech of Sacha Baron Cohen. Do you know what I'm talking about already?
No, but I mean,
he gives an acceptance speech, I think at the Golden Globes, for probably, best male performance in a comedy.
Okay.
For Borat. And during the speech, he says that essentially it came down to kind of one moment where his friend who played Azamat, his manager, in their wrestling match had sat naked on his face. You might not remember, in the hotel they are wrestling, in and around the bed, and at some point Azamat's naked butt ends up on Borat's face, and the weight of his friend on his chest forced all the oxygen out of his lungs. And he says in his speech he had to make a decision in that one moment, to live or to die. And he knew that if he breathed, if he took a breath of that rancid bubble of air that had been trapped up his friend's ass for years, that he would essentially live long enough to receive this award. That it is like a fair trade. The honor is worth taking that rancid bubble, as he called it. Yeah, amazing. Cutler says that was the loudest laughing I ever heard in a theater. Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, the laughs in that movie were amazing. Check out Sasha's acceptance speech at the Golden Globes for Borat. He delivers that story just like it's a perfect performance. The way he just obviously pre-wrote the phrase rancid bubble. It's fantastic stuff. So that's what Wolverine's dealing with right now.
Amazing. We are the Federal Enhanced Powers Strike Team, Freedom Force. We are here, X-Men, to take you into custody. What's going on, Mystique? I told you what would happen, Rogue, if you didn't heed my warning in San Francisco. And I told you the X-Men can take care of themselves. I believe differently, my child. In addition, there are other considerations mandating your arrest. You mean like your stinking Mutant Registration Act? Nice country, this land of the free, where simply being born a mutant makes you a criminal. Actually, Havoc, possessing powers means nothing, only using them. Interesting distinction. You'll excuse me, though, if I have a slight problem accepting the credibility of the former leader of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, whose gang consists of hard case creeps we X-Men used to sling into jail. The world changes, boy. Either you change with it or get ground to dust.
Allison, make no reaction to my telepathic signal, to my telepathic contact, but on my signal, unleash a flashbulb, light bursts to blind our foes.
Gotcha, Psylocke. It'll be my pleasure.
Freedom Force, cover your eyes!
Dazzler is about to unleash her light powers against us.
If that's the way you want it, X-Men, Super Saber, take her out. My pleasure, Misty.
He's old enough to be Alison Blair's father, but Martin Fletcher is still the man who can run the 4-second mile before Dazzler can even register the fact that he's moving. He's on top of her, and with a snap of his fingers, produces a microsonic boom that knocks her senseless. Hot on his heels, charge his teammates. That pose that she takes as she falls is, again, like Silvestri,
Yeah, totally.
doing that.
By the numbers, Freedom Force, as I trained you. I want this ended short and sweet.
We've done nothing to you people. Why won't you leave us alone?
You're dangerous. You're outlaws, threat to society, rebels in spirit, even when you appear to conform in the flesh.
This has nothing to do with the X-Men. It's me Spiral hates. And yet, in her eyes, behind the rage, something tender. Barrel. Note that she's colored in this issue in blue for the first time. Light blue. Like the action figure that I believe David Cutler procured for me at a toy event in Mississauga a couple years ago. So in the comics, she has been orange up until this point, like she is on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I don't want to fight you, Spiral.
His tone has changed. Curse him and his luck. What did he see? Then stand your ground and let our debt be settled with a sword stroke. Hey, babe. You have a mind to settle old scores? How about starting with me? This isn't the way I wanted it. I came here to save their lives, not see two teams turn themselves into punching bags. Destiny, we need guidance. Scan the immediate future with your precognitive power.
I cannot. Timelines tangling, twisting, tearing fabric of reality, fraying rent asunder. What was colliding with what will be to consume what is. All eternity collapsing, no light, no hope. Not before us, but death. Meanwhile, nearby. Once the blob sets himself, he reputedly cannot be moved by any physical force. Perhaps, though, my telepathic powers can persuade him. You don't want to sit there, do you, Blob?
I ain't budging, skirt.
But it's so very uncomfortable.
You can't make me.
By the way, that's what I look like when I'm taking a poop.
Oh,
Just letting you know, in case you weren't sure. David says the line about this has nothing to do with the X-Men. A line that could apply to half of what happens between 210 and 280. Oh, David. We'll talk a little bit about something like that as we get closer. Dad, okay. Destiny was foreseeing Claremont leaving the book. Oh, my goodness.
There you go.
That's Havoc now.
Avalanche is liquefying the ground beneath me. How can I stop him with my Plaza energy blasts without maiming or killing him? Hang tight, big fella. Leave the little lady to me. Huh? She's right in front of me. How'd I miss her?
Simple. I was never really there. What you saw was a telepathic illusion.
The blob. Get a hit. Ricocheting towards Stoney. No ride, no way, no time to chop momentum, change direction. Bouncing off Stoney the Avalanche. Stinking Cywigs must have planned things this way.
Right, it's me. Inspired improvisation, Super Saber. But not bad if I do say so. Ow!
You're good, lady. But your power works best at spotting active minds. Me, I'm trained to free the mind of all thought and being, while retaining my body's ability to act, in essence, to exist without being perceived.
I moved right up to you, stood by your side, and you never knew it.
What the heck does that mean?
I don't even know. He's trained his mind.
Chuck says, I need more fiber. Working on it, Chuck. I'm working on it. Dad OK says, Silvestri will never pass the chance to draw cheeks. Right there. Look at those giant purple. Oh, I think he's talking about Psylocke falling down.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was Stonewall. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine, but no.
Also Stonewall.
Yeah, that form on her. He loves that stuff. Okay. Go back. Sorry.
Bullpen bulletins?
Here's the bullpen bulletins. So I don't think there's anything in there that's too noteworthy of that section specifically. Of course, there is the profile on Anisenti. And that's, worth a look, but another time, perhaps. And then there's a checklist. and there's a checklist. So, you're a kid. Let's just say you're 10 years old, 11 years old. Yep. You're reading this. And you haven't got to the end of this issue. The first item on the checklist says The New Mutants, number 61. The New Mutants have seen the X-Men die, written by Louise Simonson, penciled by Brett Blevins, and so on.
Just in case you didn't know.
Like, come on, man. It's so funny how they did not time this well with the, what comic this would actually be in. Yeah, too funny. Anyway.
That is pretty good.
About time that stuck-up, snooty, limey broad got taught a lesson. Yo! Happy landings, Tubbo.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Ain't that Colossus? Where the heck did he come from? I thought he was sick or something.
The coin of phrase, Kaspodenblob. I got better. A timely arrival if ever there was one. I'm in your debt, little sister.
Whammo.
Hey, just because this is kind of fun, on the Marvel Supermart page, if you look under the shops in Canada, Unknown Worlds in the Danforth, that ring a bell?
Nope.
Okay.
I wasn't hitting the Danforth in 1987, so
right. I didn't. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't ring a bell for it. I mean, I lived there in that era when I was a kid, but it doesn't ring a bell.
Well, don't forget it was unknown.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the Comic Connection in West Hamilton, which didn't realize there was a West Hamilton, but there you go.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, Unknown Worlds. No. For those not in the Greater Toronto area, the Danforth is a section of Toronto that is a little isolated from the rest of the city due to a big valley and a river. So you had to kind of cross a big bridge to get there, and I was not somewhere I was actively going as a youngster. But anyway.
There you go.
Skaboom.
Hey, Colossus. Been an age, big buddy. Looking real good, too.
I am pleased to see you also, Havoc, and to have been of help.
X-Men!
My friends, there is Storm.
Why are you fighting? You and Freedom Force are supposed to be heroes, for heaven's sake. They're here as friends. This once, do as Mystique says. Trust her, X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
Your lives are at... Woo!
Don't listen, y'all. This ain't Storm. Huh? Spiral tossing some sort of zap. Ow! I don't know who that is.
Let's just say it's Havoc.
Sure. Guys, look. Storm's changing shape. She was Mystique in disguise.
I have her, Havoc.
Pretty sneaky lady. Came at us from downwind, so Wolvie couldn't spot her scent.
Rogue.
Bad news, fella. Taken prisoner.
Inside the building, then. Use it for cover while we figure out our next move.
No! Stop them, Freedom Force, at any cost. They mustn't enter that accursed tower.
Don't fret, Destiny. Freedom Force has a situation well in hand. We'll rescue Mystique, you have my word.
Fool! You do not understand. Blind though I am, I can see the future. One future. A crucial moment in the time stream so primally important it overwhelms all alternatives. Whoever is inside Eagle Plaza when dawn breaks will die. And since we just told you it'll be the X-Men in the bullpen bulletins 2 pages ago, you know it's going to be them. And almost on cue, Commando, what's happening? Why does my face suddenly feel so warm?
There's a great gaping hole torn in the sky, old woman, and sunlight shining through it.
Then it has begun. The end, I fear, of the X-Men. And possibly the world. The world.
The world.
Next issue.
Go tell it on the Spartans.
Is that a thing?
Go tell it on the Spartans. Oh,
Is that a thing, Chris?
No. It sounded like go tell it on the mountain.
Oh, I don't know that. Okay. Allie says, Storm's costume is this pod's blue and black versus white and gold dress debate. I cannot unsee it now. Yeah, man. As I said before, like I think it's pretty clear her top is meant to be white. The rest of it, I think it's supposed to be reflective black leather, but it is forever, getting changed eventually into some kind of silver and eventually into white. White. Yeah.
Whip.
That okay says the meta of this issue is overwhelming. I'm going to ask you a question. That okay? Can you expand on that? What do you mean that the meta of this issue? Yeah, I'm interested to hear more about that. I'm always a fan of that kind of thing. Everything that started in this arc virtually ended Marvel after it propelled the Image guys into the competition. So like Silvestri and the other guys like end the world of Marvel. Is that kind of what you were saying? Because that's pretty interesting. I do really enjoy Silvestri's pencils in a lot of ways, even his portrayal of the Blob. I'm into all that.
Yeah.
And let's see, we're going to have him for a little while. His covers, I do think, get better and better. His composition, he keeps using that Frazetta approach to composition, which I should get some examples, but I wish someone else had done some homework and like given us a Frazetta cover and showing how it influenced people like Mignola or Silvestri or others, because I think there are some awesome techniques that people have learned from his approach to composition. Yeah, but there you go. There's a giant butthole in the sky.
I mean, I'm intrigued.
I mean, how do you fix that?
I don't know.
Silvestri is dope, says David Cutler, but I think he's hampered by that mid-shot focused Jim Shooter storytelling. I do think so too, to a point. I think he's also staying kind of on, hampered, but there is something really clear about kind of what's happening page to page. So I don't know if you were here for that part, David, but Tom DeFalco is now editor-in-chief, and that should not have affected probably what's happening week to week to week in the few weeks following Shooter's firing. But I do think it's the Marvel House style for a little longer until they're going to see like a rocket in sales. We should look. What is Spider-Man up to in this moment in terms of numbers? Amazing Spider-Man, that is. Let me just take a look. Amazing Spider-Man is 290. 298. So the reason I bring it up is because once we start to see very different compositions on pages. Things like anchor images that the Image Boys really popularized. Composition was still pretty Jim Shooter, clear storytelling, neutral for the bulk of the 80s. But of course, 298 is the first issue that McFarlane draws Amazing Spider-Man. So we're now in that moment where he's on Spidey. He might even be on Hulk too. I have to take a look to see if there's credits there for him on Incredible Hulk. But those guys are starting to really make their way into Marvel Comics. And Incredible Hulk 341. So I think he's on Hulk already at that point. So David says, oh yeah, McFarlane is about to change everything. Having these guys on these big selling books and him and McFarlane bringing Spider-Man up to the top of things is going to make a huge difference in the way that Marvel lets these younger artists kind of do what they want. Why don't I just leave it open on this page? This was, as Dan Alvin asked, this was Amazing Spider-Man 298 month. That's pretty crazy. Let's look at Alpha Flight. And I mentioned that because anyone who knows what's happening in Alpha Flight 56. So Jim Lee I'm looking it up. I stopped by issue 60 and he was on already. So let's see if he's on. Oh yeah. So Jim Lee is penciling Alpha Flight at this moment in time. Pretty wild to think like these guys are all kind of coming about. Jim Lee's been on for a few issues. His first issue is 55. So he's been on for one issue. He's on his second issue so far. That's crazy. Jim Lee, McFarlane, Silvestri, wild. Just wild.
Totally.
That okay says that's wild that he came on 2 issues before 300. Yes. 298, 299, he fights a villain called Chance, if memory serves. And then 300 is that obviously famous cover with Spidey in the black suit with the numbers 300 all over in the circle kind of flying forward. It's fun. It's never knew the timeline before. Yeah, man. It's really fun putting comics in context now that we have 40 years to 35 years to figure out what happened in that time that made a difference moving forward. And it is a really pivotal moment in Marvel Comics history. End of Jim Shooter's era, coming on of McFarlane, Silvestri, and Lee. My dog is talking to someone crossing the street. So anyway, overall, this issue feels like a setup, but where something's happening. We get the sense of some stakes now. And it really did feel like the series has languished for maybe 10 issues. Just pull that yarn of we had the Mutant Massacre. Let's kind of dabble in consequences, but never actually resolve anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've heard it said before that it feels like this is kind of the new status quo of those annual crossovers, those yearly crossovers, where nothing really happens, just setting up the next event. Whereas in the Byrne Claremont days, we would get 2 issues, then a pause, or then 3 issues of action, and then a pause, and then 6 issues and a pause. And they really were focused on moving stories forward, and then having those brief kind of 1-issue transitions where characters would recover and get back home and whatnot. But this has been really a long time to get back to anything with some stakes to it. So, yeah, there you go, man.
Cool.
You like this one?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff.
I'm like,
to
your point, it's let's get to an event. Let's have something happen that hopefully switches it up, changes things up.
Well, apparently the X-Men are going to die.
Oh, there you go.
I wonder how they would ever do like if there's even a story to tell in terms of animated series X-Men 97, like if there is a Fall of the Mutants type thing, like there wasn't already so far, of course, but I meant like, is there a story to tell that you could? Is there anything like worth bringing over to the animated series from this? Like the idea of them, there being like, again, the Destiny saying they're going to die. They go on a mission. There's, I guess, a chaos and an order deity, fighting over the chessboard for what's going to happen to them. And then what happens to them, I don't know.
And it was great to have Colossus back.
Yeah. And I think he'll stick around for a while.
Mm-hmm. Obviously I have an affinity for Nightcrawler now doing the show. And I will say, just to relate, a few classic look Nightcrawlers at Comic-Con on the weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. With the red and the tail. And yeah, it was very cool. I didn't see it's funny, in years past, you and I have been looking for X-related cosplay just because, keeping an eye out for it. And then we can, chat about it a bit. But this year I didn't see a whole lot, but I did see a couple of Nightcrawlers and a couple of Mystiques. And, it's good.
Well, last year at that particular con, that's when they debuted X-Men 97.
Right. And who did I talk to on the Friday before the show started? But voice of Beast in the X-Men animated series in X-Men 97, George Buza, Canadian actor. So that was really, really cool. He was just like, I got to say, one of the cool things about having access to these cons is as we're setting up, we're there early, right? So nobody's there, but everybody else is there. The guests are there, and we can go some back issue diving. I found some Paul Smith X-Men, so I was quite happy about that. But yeah, I just walked by and he was right there, and then he had all his Beast stuff out, and I was just like, I gotta say thank you, man. Like you're the Beast voice in my head, like when I think of Beast. So yeah, he's a really nice guy. He was really. Yeah, and they're all like kind of tickled, touched a little bit that the legacy, the show they did in the 90s, which they're all now mostly part of again, is something else.
Yeah. So is he not coming on the show?
Well, right. That's what my kids said. They're like, "Are you not asking him to be on the YouTube show?" I'm like, I guess I could.
Can you imagine the nerve of somebody like in your position?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And they're all Stratford actors. That's the other cool thing. That's what I talked to them about. They're all theater actors. Yeah.
Oh,
you regretted that one immediately, by the way.
The Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
Mr. Plow song.
Mr. Plow.
Mr. Plow is a loser, and I hear he is a loser. Yeah, and David says, I immediately regret that one. Oh, dude, that's too funny. I love that she's working on her Spanish version of the song.
That's
she
right.
Sings
Senor
it.
Plow. Yeah.
Yes, macho.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
So good. I love that episode. There's so many good things in that one. All right, Chris.
All right.
That brings us to the end of another episode of Previously in X-Men. Thank you, my good buddy Chris Sanagan, writer of Group of Seven, A Most Secret Tale, and Peregrines. Just came out with a new issue on the weekend called Peregrines Badlands. I haven't even seen it yet.
I know. I've got copies for you. I know.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
And it's always fun to debut a book at a show, too, because people are like, new book, what's it about? I'm like, it's about all these things.
I think we should update that website and get it out there. So we can sell copies.
It will this weekend.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan.
Oh, totally.
But more importantly, all that.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Is it someone's wedding anniversary?
Could be.
How many years? 20?
20.
Chris Sanagan, happy anniversary to you and your lovely wife, Danielle.
Thank you.
Man, I'm so proud to be part of this relationship.
So proud that you were there and continue to be part of this relationship.
Yeah, there were I've done a lot of things to try and really help you guys make it 20 years.
Milestones.
My elbow is sore from all the self-congratulatory actions there. No, but sincerely from all of us on the show.
Oh, thanks, everybody.
Just for everyone out there, happy wedding anniversary and
Thank
happy
you.
birthday to Danielle, of course,
Yes.
as well.
That's the next day. Yeah.
Lovely stuff. So that's like a good final thought. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Of course, you can find us on all the socials. You know where to find us. All the links are in the description below anyway. But I'd rather just end it on the sweet stuff. So happy anniversary to the Sanagans.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see y'all next week on another episode of Previously in Chris's Marriage. I want all the details. All right, everyone, take care. Be well.
Have a great night.